Well, we have our Super Bowl matchup, and it's not the one we expected. We have like an actual like a true Cinderella team in the Super Bowl. The Cincinnati Bengals are in the Super Bowl. Who in the fucking world ever saw that coming? 4 months ago. Um, remember when Week One, it was like, how dare the Vikings lose at the Bengals? Um, well, here we are. Um, so I guess we'll just do it in chronological order. Everyone on the planet, including myself, thought when that first game was 21-3 that it was over. There was nothing whatsoever at that point to indicate that the Bengals had any chance in that game because you know first, I mean, anytime you get down 18 points on the road, you're in deep shit. But there was nothing to indicate that the Chiefs were going to be stopped because um, especially I think it was the second touchdown that the Chiefs got. It was just like classic cheat code Mahomes stuff, and you see that, and it's just like game over. Like it's like when he's like that, he can't be. When he's playing like that, he cannot be beat. Period. Um, so then it's 21-3, and it's like, okay, we're done. It didn't even matter, when they scored right before the half. You know, because even then it was like, well, they're going to give up points now because there was like a minute and something left, and everyone's ripping the Chiefs for the decision to pass on the field goal and go for the touchdown on the last play. I didn't think that was a bad idea because I mean, like, it's one of those things like when everything plays out, yeah, if you'd had like an extra 3 points, it would have been different. But you know, the game plays out differently from that point anyway. So, uh, I didn't think it was that. The play call was ridiculous. I mean, why are you throwing that ball? And maybe it was just a bad play by Mahomes. It looked like he maybe threw the pass a little late. I didn't have a problem with that. But whatever the, I don't even know who the Bengals defensive coordinator is. Um, but whoever it is, that whatever adjustments were made at halftime, like they always talk about halftime adjustments, and sometimes you can't even really notice. You really notice this time because I don't think even in the Super Bowl last year, Patrick Mahomes looked as bad as he did in the second half of this game. Um, because the Super Bowl, it was really like he was given no chance. Like there was no pass protection and stuff and everything. That wasn't really the case this time. Like he was getting protection fine. There was nothing major there, but he wasn't making any plays. Bad throws. He was really rattled, and then of course, um, he throws that really bad interception in a really bad spot, and then they tie the game up. And at that point, I thought game over for the Bengals because the Bengals were going to win, no doubt, because there was nothing to indicate that the Chiefs could figure it out on offense. Like they were just done. Like it was it, it was it was it was just bizarre to watch. Um, and then of course they're able to get the lead, and then they find Chiefs finally get a little offense going. But even that last drive wasn't that impressive. It was just like they hit like a couple of plays, but they're down at like the what was it, like the 5. They were definitely inside the 10, and then it was kind of the same thing with the first. Like they tried to get a little too cute. Like as talented as you are, you still have to be smart, and you have to not be conservative, but you know just like, because like, yeah, you're in that position. It was like, um, it was under the 2-minute warning at that point. You're trailing, so it's not like you can completely just sit on the ball. But because you got to at least get the field goal. You know, when you want to run time off the clock if you can, but of course, if you get a touchdown there, then they have to get a touchdown on you. So it was like they kind of burned the Bengals had a couple timeouts stuff. They burned those off, but then they have Mahomes drop back, which was stupid because he hasn't been able to make plays from the pocket the entire second half, and he's running around and he's lucky. I think he took a loss in the first play, and then that second play, you know, at that point, you really have to be safe because it's third down. It's third down from like the 10 or something like that. You gotta be cautious there because you have to at least get the field goal to tie the game. And you know this was like both bad play call and just Mahomes just made a really stupid play. He's running. It's again it's trying to be too cute. Like, yeah, Mahomes has made crazy plays doing that sort of thing, but in that situation, what are you doing, man? He's running backwards. What did he lose like 20 yards on that play or something like that? It was ridiculous. And he fumbled the ball. They were lucky that there was a lineman who followed Mahomes back there, because if he drops that ball and there isn't, and I think it was the guard fell on it, if he ain't there, Bengals recover that ball and that's the game right there. Um, you know, they got the field goal, but you could tell, like, even the shot of the crowd when they get the time, like, the crowd wasn't even like celebrating. They were just like, they weren't even like, yeah, we got the field goal, like kind of like the one last week where they kicked the tying field goal and you could see the crowd just going nuts. You know, it was like the crowd was just like, what are we watching here? This is just not right. That's why, like, and then they win the coin toss and everyone's on Twitter's like, oh, well, game over. I'm like, what have you been watching for the last two quarters? The game, it's not game over at all. The Chiefs are playing terribly, and Mahomes looks terrible. And he just chucks a ball in the air. I mean, it was a third down long, so maybe they were gonna have to punt anyway. But I mean, that was just a horrible play. Like, I mean, I would still take Mahomes over any other quarterback in football, but what in what in God's name was he doing? That was like, you know, for years people ripped Brett Favre for some plays he's made, or picks he's thrown in playoff games. That was as bad as any of that was as bad as just about any of them. That was he just threw the ball up for grabs into I think at least double coverage. It's picked off, and that was the game because Chiefs defense was not going to stop them. I mean, I don't know if they quit, but they sure didn't give up much resistance. As Bengals go right down the field, get the Eagles field goal, and that's it. And I'm starting to think Joe Burrow is the new Tom Brady, because he's having a very similar run. This is his first time in the playoffs. It's a very similar run to Brady's first run in the playoffs, because he's getting a lot of wins without having to really do a lot. And I think Burrow's way better right now than Brady was that first playoff run. But like, you look at like their first win in the playoffs was over the Raiders. The second one was at the number one seed in the conference, and then they pull off a big upset over a team from Missouri. And of course, they'll be playing the Rams now, so combine those last two, it's eerie shit. But and Burrow made some plays. Like, there was a couple plays where it looked like certain sacks, and they just didn't bring him down. But it's kind of bizarre. It's eerie almost. And it's just bizarre how he seems to be the beneficiary. Like, maybe this happens every playoffs and stuff, but he seems to be the real beneficiary. Of course, Brady's out of the playoffs now. Last year was Brady getting all the breaks. This time maybe it's Burrow, but um, it's eerie stuff, and so you know, Bengals. The last time they were in a Super Bowl, uh, I was in fourth grade. Last time they were in a Super Bowl, um, and good for them. I mean, this is like I said, a true Cinderella. Like they were they were they were the worst team in the league 2 years ago, and now they're in the Super Bowl. Uh, Now it has happened before. I think when the Panthers got in the Super Bowl, their first Super Bowl, I think they had a similar thing where they were worst team in the league, and then they were in the Super Bowl 2 years later. Um, um, but we don't get this. We don't get that. This has been one of the problems I think with the NFL for years is that we don't get these kind of real major pop up seasons anymore. We used to get them. I wouldn't say frequently, but it was a little more common. Like the Panthers when they got in there, or when you know, even the Patriots the first time, or the Rams, the first year with Kurt Warner. We don't get that. We don't get that much anymore. Um, um, and no one thought. Everyone thought like, okay, they won the division, that's cute. But they're not going to get past the top teams in the AFC, and well, they beat two of them. I still think Buffalo might have actually been the best team, but they didn't get it done. Last week, I think Bills fans have to be just even more despondent than they were because they make one stop at the end of the game last week. Again, maybe Burrow is just the new Brady and everything's going to work out for him, but I don't think Buffalo loses this game. Um, and as for the Chiefs, it's like, like I said, I would still take Mahomes over anybody, but you know, I don't think it's too early to wonder if he's going to be kind of like have like the Aaron Rodgers career trajectory where you know, he wins the Super Bowl very early, and it's just assumed that he's going to win many more, and he's clearly the best in the game, and I think Rodgers has been the best in the game for a lot of the last 10 years, but never never won another Super Bowl. Now he's played in more than Rodgers did already, but and it might be presumptuous to just be like, oh, he's never going to get back to one, because for half this game he was well on his way to getting back to one. But you know, I don't. I think this game, like I thought the Super Bowl last year, he was kind of the hard luck figure. Um, like I don't put anything from the Super Bowl last year on Mahomes at all, but I do put a lot on this game on Mahomes because he was bad. He was really, really bad in the second half. Like you say whatever you want about the play calls. The play call, the end of regulation is not for him to run backwards for 20 yards and fumble the football, or skip throws or throw terrible interceptions. Like that was the worst. I don't see every Patrick Mahomes game, obviously, but I've seen every playoff game, and that was the worst I've ever seen him play. His team played worse in the Super Bowl last year, but the worst I've ever seen him play. And of course, Andy Reid. Andy Reid's lost a lot. Andy Reid has lost so many conference championship games now. What they say he's lost he lost. I think they say he's lost 6 home conference championship games, if that's right, or maybe just 6 overall, but a lot of them were at home. Um, you know, you wonder how many years Andy Reid's got left, but that I like the Chiefs have lost a couple Super Bowls, but this has got to be maybe the worst loss they've ever had, just because it's such a big upset, and you had a huge lead, and your guy just got shut down by a defense that's not that good. I mean, or they certainly haven't been that good. Maybe in the play, maybe they're just finding themselves in the playoffs or something. But you know, that was the main, like, that's the story of the game as far as I'm concerned. People talk about Joe Burrow. The story of the game was what the defense did in the second half to Mahomes. That was unbelievable. That was just unbelievable. Um, so I guess that's probably all I got to say about the AFC. NFC game was not quite as standout memorable, but it was still a pretty good game. Kyle Shanahan, man, what is his deal? What is it with teams that he's coaching or coaching as an assistant, blowing big leads in the second halves of playoff games? I don't know what that is. I don't know what it is with him. Because this game, you know, kind of playing out just the way the 49ers would want it. They're playing good on defense. They're not putting up a ton of points, but they never really do. But they're getting some big plays here and there. They're playing well. They're up 17-7, and it's looking pretty good. And then it just kind of implodes in every level. Defense was pretty solid the whole game. I mean, eventually, the dam's going to break when your offense isn't helping you. But there was that. What was it? A 4th and 2 inside the 50. I think they were up 3, and he punts. Like, man, it's just a terrible, terrible decision. Their offense stops moving the ball. They have that just oh my god, just an arm punt from Stafford, and the guy drops it like it's the easiest interception in the history of football. And he just drops the ball, and then like right after that they go down and score a touchdown. Or maybe that was a field goal. I forget if that was a field goal or a touchdown. But either way, it was like a huge, huge play. They maybe don't win the game if that pass is intercepted. Although the way their offense was going, maybe it didn't matter anyway. But and then like they had a couple shots at the end in those last 2 drives. Oh my god! People talk about some of the 2-minute drives that Kirk has led over the years here. It's like he's never had anything that pathetic. Like, I don't even think they gained a yard on either of those last couple drives. Like, they couldn't even get plays off. They had like at least one delay of game, and then I think they barely got another one off. Like, just complete chaos. And then that last drive, I mean, I get it's like desperation at that point. Well, I think it was 3rd down, so he did have another play if he just kind of ate the ball. But I mean, they weren't going to win at that point anyway. But just a horrible, just once he was like falling down, throws it, and it's gets tipped up and picked. It's just awful, awful play. And that could be the end of Garoppolo in San Francisco, because I'll talk about him being traded. There'll be a lot of talk about him being one of the many quarterbacks on the move. So the Rams get to the Super Bowl. They get there without a horrible non-call this time. And the big story will probably be Stafford getting there. Him getting there is kind of that's going to be like held up as like, you see an underachieving or maybe an underachieving quarterback somewhere that you think you can elevate, and if you go get this guy, everyone's going to be saying this could be the next Matthew Stafford. Someone's going to say that about Kirk Cousins. I think we should say it about Kirk Cousins, but I think that's silly because we already have him. We already hate him. But I might do a separate thing about just like the Viking fans' responses to these games, because man, I've seen some stupid fucking takes today. Oh my god, just absolutely mind-numbing bullshit. But this was like an all-in Rams team, a lot of veterans. They traded away a lot of draft picks for players, and here we are. They're in the Super Bowl. They're getting the home Super Bowl. Second year in a row, we get a home Super Bowl for somebody after it never having happened before. Um, Maybe there will actually be some Rams fans at this game. I couldn't believe how many. Every time they had a crowd shot, how many 49er fans were there. Um, I think this was after they specifically refused to sell to tickets outside of the LA area or something like that. Well, that didn't work. Of course, keep in mind they didn't have football in LA for many years, so a lot of the people in there were probably fans of teams like the 49ers. But, so for like the Super Bowl, like I would not put anything past the Bengals and Burrow at this point, just because like I think he might be the new Brady in this, just with how many things go in his favor with him not necessarily on the field. And if if their defense can turn Patrick Mahomes into that for 2+ quarters and turn him into the unquestioned GOAT of a football game for maybe the first time, at least certainly the first time I think in a playoff game, then of course they could beat the Rams. Um, I think the Rams would win because I just think they're the more complete team. Like if the Chiefs had won, I would probably pick the Rams too. But I think the Rams are the more complete team. They have the better defense. Maybe not, but after what we saw today, but generally in the Super Bowl, the better defense wins, especially if there's any sort of significant gap in the quality of defense. The Rams have a very good defense. Obviously they have an offense that I think can match with the Bengals. Of course, it's the Bengals coach used to work with McVay until that's how he got the Bengal job. So that could go either way. I think that's happened before in Super Bowls where like the student versus the teacher. And I think usually the teacher is the one who wins in the Super Bowl. But so all the pressure's on the Rams. There's no pressure on the Bengals whatsoever. They're playing with house money. The Rams have all the expectations. The Rams will really, that would be a huge letdown for them if they were to lose this game, especially considering it's a home Super Bowl. They're all in. They overcame the 49ers, who they had lost to 6 times in a row. They overcame the Brady bullshit. They are the better team, I think. So yeah, I think the Rams are going to win, but I think it will be close. I don't think it's. I didn't even think the Bengals would get blown out today. I picked the Chiefs, but I didn't think it was going to be a rout. I don't think the Bengals are going to get blown out, but I just think the Rams are the better team with the better defense. Maybe not the better quarterback. I think that's up for debate. But again, when in doubt, and I'm not really in that much doubt, but when in doubt in the Super Bowl, always pick the team with the better defense, which I think is the Rams. And so they're at home, and I think they're just determined. They lost the Super Bowl a few years ago. I think they're just, of course, a lot of the players were different then. They had a different quarterback. They had some other different players, but I think Rams win. But I think most people are probably going to root for the Bengals. I have a hard time. I don't know. In just every sport, I have a hard time these days rooting for like the downtrodden, the downtrodden franchise, the downtrodden market, who have either never won or haven't won in a very long time. And technically the Rams haven't won a Super Bowl in over 20 years, but you know, just kind of sick of seeing downtrodden markets and downtrodden franchises win when we sit here and we still haven't won shit in the big four sports in now over 30 years. Maybe the Wild will hook us up. Um, but you know, I think the Rams will win, and I hope the Rams will win. But don't discount the we've had the Brady bullshit. Don't discount the Burrow bullshit because it might happen.